You see a black man with pride, ideas collide. People in and out all the time, so that means dirty money must have paid for the ride. Only judging by what you see outside. All you see is a Kuta. Can't say that you wanna make Toby, but you don't never even know bricks in a trap, but was still raised up next to them.
So I'm Mike Jones. I'm from Danville. Lived here 18 years until I went to Wofford. It's always home. It feels more like home than anywhere else I've ever been. But I have gotten to travel a bit through college and sports and things like that, so I've gotten to see quite a bit.
You plan on moving back?
No, my next move is going to be to Atlanta.
Okay, why Atlanta?
To work in sports with physical therapy.
Okay.
It's like, been an athlete my entire life, so that was the field that I've always been most interested in. And I had a gentleman come to our class, and he kind of like gave his spiel about a company that he works for. And I emailed him, and they had several opportunities in the Atlanta area, so it just went from there. And working in sports as a new grad is pretty difficult. It's not, not a lot of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like hopped on that as soon as I could.
So what exactly will you be doing with that? Because I know you just got your physical therapy. Is it a doctorate there?
Yeah.
So you're Dr. Jones?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So what will Dr. Jones be doing?
So in physical therapy, you'll have patients come in, they have X, Y, and Z complaints, or in the sports setting, there's more of a performance side. So you might not have like a true issue, but you're just trying to develop further for your sport. So I'll be working with, the general population, low back pain, arthritis, that sort of thing. And then also with athletes, they're coming back post-op, or they just have a strain in season or something like that. Or even a performance scenario, like I said, and just trying to get them back to being independent themselves and getting them back to sport.
Okay.
But yeah, with the general pop, it's a little different. It's more so just trying to take a patient, give them the tools they need to be independent to handle whatever they're coming to you for. So that's what's most inspiring about it, is like you can make a true difference in people, even if they're just having knee pain or something. That's very debilitating in a lot of people. So they come to me, I can give them X, Y, and Z tool. I can work with them for a few weeks, and after that, send them on their way, and they know how to handle it themselves versus requiring continuous medical bills and things like that adds up.
All right. Now, I know you tore your ACL,
Yeah.
right? So did your experience with physical therapy encourage you to, how do I want to phrase this? Encourage you to pursue the field even more, or kind of give you some background information?
So I had always known, even since high school, honestly, that I wanted to do physical therapy, primarily with athletes, again, just because I'm my background. But that experience really showed me how essential it is for an athlete. Once they have some sort of injury, you can't get back to your past level without help. Athletic trainers and physical therapists are essential in that process, and that really motivated me. Hey, a lot of these athletes aren't coming from, the penthouse per se. They're like me, you're really grinding to try to get through college and make a difference in your life that you have going forward. So they really depend on being healthy as an athlete, and being there to do what their scholarship is requesting of them. I looked at it from a perspective, say, when I'm a PT, what difference am I going to make with an athlete? When I'm looking at myself, I was going through college broke, but a $50,000 a year scholarship, they expect you to be healthy, go to your weightlifting practice. You're supposed to be there and be present. So there's a lot of pressure on you to do what's asked of you. So a physical therapist is really important in kind of helping the athlete uphold their end of the bargain, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of motivation because college is stressful, college sports are stressful. So you can kind of be like a friend to those that are feeling pressure from everywhere around you.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to transition a little bit because I know you're a big UK fan. And obviously, we're here to talk about some things a little more specifically than, what you ate for breakfast this morning,
right?
Stuff like that. So after UK posted the Black Lives Matter video, number one, I wanted to just know your general thoughts on the video, the backlash, then kind of your thoughts as a former athlete. If at your school and the fans of your school were to make comments like that, would that have changed your decision to attend that university?
Well, first of all, it was like very courageous of them to do that, because UK is a entity of a lot of privilege, and they don't have to do that. You know, they can get by and not say a word. What a lot of coaches are doing right now. But the backlash that came of that is no surprise. I mean, like we've been talking about it for years. You can't root for a player on Saturdays and Sundays, and then the rest of the week you don't care about them at all. They're like, we're athletes, but more than that, they're humans, you know. So it's not surprising at all. It's disappointing, but zero surprise from that. And as a UK fan, it just makes me proud of them standing where their feet are, and standing behind the words that they said, because you got a team full of black athletes, you know, you got to take care of them, mentally and physically. Let's see, if I was an athlete going to a school that fan base has made that, you know, those types of statements, it would definitely sway me to go somewhere else. But the hard truth about it is you're not going to find many colleges in America that don't have those fans. Even in like Penn State, for example, they're up north. The north is a pretty progressive area per se. And then there was a fan recently that was popular on Twitter where he had like made some sort of like negative statements about a player wearing dreadlocks, and he was going to end his season tickets. So, you know, that was probably last year, but that stuff is everywhere. So it is what it is, but it's disappointing, you know.
Let's go back to the beginning. You went to Tolliver.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of talk about your general experiences as a young black man in those like early years?
Pretty blissful at the beginning, you know. You're just a kid, you're just playing, that's all you worry about. And then when my dad got sick, it was a pretty rough patch for several years. And at Tolliver specifically, Miss Goggin, I would have to say, she like made the most impact on me because, you know, I'd be acting out in class. At the time, I thought I was just, I don't know, bad, you know. But like in retrospective, I feel like I was really reaching for attention due to what I was experiencing at home. And she was always somebody that I could call her up and say, hey, Miss Goggin, I'm having a bad day. And we would just go to her office and play Math Blasters or whatever, drink Propels, and, you know, just kick it. And just having somebody to lean on in those tough times was essential, because she'd always push me to do the right thing, even when I was acting bad, doing ignorant stuff. Like she never like left my side or anything. So she was really important in my progression in the youth years. Again, I feel like I wasn't seeking, you know, attention. I don't know, but I don't think it was just, it wasn't a reflection of me as a kid. It was a reflection of what I was going through.
But number one, you said that you were a bad kid.
Yeah.
And I know you were labeled as a bad kid there for a while. You know, just how did that affect you when you were in class and outside of class?
As a child, you just like, you get around your certain friends and you just act a fool. Like that's what it was mostly, but it didn't really affect me per se as like my, you know, thoughts on everybody. Like I knew I was bad. I didn't know how to be not bad, but, you know, as I matured and kept growing, I like finally realized that, like, you know, if you want to play football, if you want to do all these things, then you can't act how you do. You have to like be respectful. You have to not talk back to your teachers. You have to, you know, be present when people expect you to be present. See, I mean, I agree. I was bad just from a behavioral standpoint. I remember in like fourth grade, I would have that year specifically, I had all A's and B's on my report card. And the only thing keeping me off honor roll was my conduct. It was a C. And so
I didn't even know they took like a conduct grade. I thought it was just a note at the bottom.
Yeah,
I didn't know
never
it counted
forget
as a grade.
But it's just kind of funny, like, you know, just growing up over the years, more so towards middle school, getting into high school, I was like, I want to play college football. Can't run with the same people you always run with. You know, you got to make certain changes. And that's kind of what motivated me to, you know, act how I'm supposed to act, per se.
All right. Yeah, I get that. Now going back to Miss Goggin. So she took that special interest in you, and I remember hearing some of those conversations that, we'd be over here clicking on the computer and she'd be talking to you about how to do the right thing.
Yeah.
One that I specifically remember is you and another little boy were talking about how you thought it was fun to throw rocks at cars.
Yeah.
You remember that?
It sounds about right.
And poorly, mind you, but she freestyled. She was like, what if, because I think this was around the time that y'all recorded over the tape.
Storybook?
The storybook tape, yeah. And she had said something like, my name is Michael. I want to go to juvie because I throw rocks at cars. And like her trying to make that effort to relate to you.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you would be the same person without that sort of support?
No. I mean, like those years were so hard. And then there were many like more tight times to come, but that's like a very malleable time of your childhood. And I just needed help from somebody, so I'm thankful for her. And yeah, no telling what I would have done like if I didn't have her.
Right. I know during those times there's a lot going on, but do you remember any sort of like racial issues?
Not really. I mean, not related to that, but just as a child, I got called a nigger the first time I was probably 5 or 6 at Bunny Davis.
Wow.
And I didn't even know what it meant. So I don't think I punched the dude or nothing. But yeah, you'd hear it just like over, more so in the middle school in sports. You know what teams were going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to say it, but coaches would prepare us for it. And so it's normalized almost. I remember with a certain group of friends, we were running across Houstonville Road, and it was bad. We was running through traffic, so like, they had the right to yell at us, but he's like, I'm not gonna say everything, but get out the effing road, you effing nigger. Like we were like 12,
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's just certain things like that you don't forget. But again, at the time, like it was normalized. It's like you know who's gonna say it, when they're gonna say it, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, even in the high school, you still heard it, obviously.
Just what was middle school like?
Hard. Just certain things going on at home. I had lost my dad. Middle school is a really interesting time because I felt like you don't really know who you are. You're still trying to figure everything out. So you try certain fads, you dress differently, listen to certain music.
With them tall tees.
Yeah, like, you don't know what you're doing. You're just trying to figure things out. So middle school was kind of weird, really. And I feel like I was really lost throughout a lot of middle school. But the main thing that was like my backbone was sports, That's like, I'd always loved football more than anything, So that motivated me to just, stick to a certain standard of behavior, act at least okay, But middle school was very trying.
I was thinking of Miss Gibson's class in 8th grade.
Right.
Just not all the, Chuck, you're going to have to cut this one out. But this is a story for you. All right, so we were in French class, and we were flipping through this textbook, right? And Mike looks at me and goes, "Psst, hey, turn to page like 243. And I was like, all right. And it is a very famous French painting, but it's 2 shirtless women, and one of them's just reaching over and holding the other woman's chest like this, and they're going like that. And we got in so much trouble, and she was so disappointed because by this time, I feel like Mike had grown out of, the bad kid label, and she was like so disappointed. She said, "Ooh la la, Marcel,
Yeah.
Michael." And
You're being very disruptive.
Yeah. Hey, and man, to middle school, were there any teachers that stood out and had an impact on you? I know there's only one Miss Goggin, but like that had a similar impact at least.
I would say Miss Dexter, because she brought us together with the FCA thing, and I feel like she would always give me second chances when I'd act a fool in class. I feel like some teachers would like target me a little bit, point me out because they knew I'd act a fool. But yeah, I feel like she had a lot of patience with me. And again with FCA, you had a group of people from all backgrounds, all colors, boys and girls. And she was just like the head of that. So it was a good image to see.
Had you had a black teacher by that point?
Miss Spalding. She's
Miss
a
Spalding.
substitute teacher. But her and Miss McPherson, she was a math teacher.
In 7th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the only two that come to mind. Yeah. And Miss Spalding held us. She was kind of old school. She would, if you didn't act right, then you would pay for it.
Yeah.
But again, she was very patient with us. Me and one friend that, who I'm talking about, we would just always, like rapping over the storybook.
Oh, yeah.
Just doing stupid stuff. But
bringing in unedited rap songs to play during silent reading time. Yeah.
Yeah, with gunshots on it and everything. Like, she was very patient, and I appreciate her. I always say hey to her when I see her out in the community. Yeah. High school, my main, memories and my best memories revolve around football. Because, we come from a small rural town in Kentucky, so you understand the racial climate that comes with that is just, it's a given. But in football, especially at Danville, we had a lot of black dudes on the team and probably a couple black coaches, and everybody else, all the other rest of the coaches, athletic staff were white. And I never felt any type of mistreatment or anything like that from them. And, with the coaches we had, Coach Perry, Coach Hart, Coach Little, Coach McGuire, Coach McKnight, they always were like father figures to us. And that is just something I'll never forget because, you just, like I said, you got people coming from all these different backgrounds and they treat you exactly the same. They give you the opportunities that you need. They tell you how it is, especially Coach Perry. Gonna let you know. Yeah. But they just keep it real with you, and I appreciate that more than, like, that's just one trait that I really value in people is keeping it real. And they always did that. I remember we were playing, I don't need to say the school, but Coach Perry told us it was a private school, and he was just kind of laying it out, keeping it real. Like I said, they think they're better than you. They think they have more money than you. They think this, that, and that. And I mean, that's just, I hate to be like, follow labels and stereotypes, but that's kind of the truth, And I felt that during that game. But he would just keep it real with us. I mean, he's talking to a group of black kids and saying that. And that's just because he felt comfortable in it, Coach Harp, he would always, you play certain teams, he'll let you know that you're going to hear the N-word. You got to stay level-headed, the whole nine.
Rush back from the sideline.
Right. And, that's just kind of something that kind of stuck with me going forward. You can't really buy into people trying to get you mad. You got to play the next play and just keep life moving.
Are there any or not football related racial incidents that you can recall?
So I remember what year it was. I was talking to this girl and
sophomore year.
Yeah. Her boyfriend didn't like that. Well, I don't know if they were boyfriend or what they were, but he was like, "Why do you like that nigger? He's a this and that." And this was during football season, so I wanted to get him right, but I was like, "We're about to play playoffs next week. I can't do anything, or I'll be suspended for 2 weeks, and then I'm a starter. I gotta." So that was one thing. I just had to bite it and take it for what it is, and just never talk to that dude again. That was one of the points that I felt I matured because I didn't react how I wanted to, And that's how it is in life. You can't always react how you want to. You can't always say what you want to say. You can't always do what you want to do. You just have to keep it going. I got a teacher shout out from high school.
Okay.
Miss McKnight. It was my junior year, and I was starting to get conversations from colleges and stuff. And she checked my grades at midterm, and it was pre-algebra. It was one of those hard classes, and I had a D. And she just looked me straight in my eyes and was like, "You're gonna have schools beating down your door, but you can't do anything with that. They'll turn around and leave." And so that made me really realize that I gotta lock in with school I had always been a good student in high school, but I guess I had just like kind of slacked off and didn't care as much. But that meant a lot coming from a black woman that's an educator. You know, she had she knew what she was talking about.
Yeah.
So she just like I said, kept it real with me, and I benefited from that. Absolutely.
So college, you went to Wofford.
Yeah.
Why'd you choose Wofford?
Well, like in high school, I had worked so hard to get this certain GPA, and I had offers from Murray State, Eastern Kentucky, Furman University, and Wofford. And Furman and Wofford were the main two that it's hard to get in. They're very prestigious. And I was like, if I got this GPA, I've worked this hard, I might as well utilize it and take a harder road than what I have to take, just because I feel like I'll benefit from it. And we had two coaches, Coach Fuqua and Coach Brown, both Danville alum. They knew what Danville was about, where I came from. They had both played on the teams. They knew the culture. And so I feel like that would be the best situation for me to continue to grow. I knew I had people to support me. And, yeah, Wofford was very challenging by every way it could be. But I'm glad I chose there. So, like, in my early years at Wofford, it was really difficult just adapting. I was in a new state, didn't know anybody. That was the first time I'd ever left my mom, left Danville. And I needed guidance. So I reached out to Coach Clevenger, and I had only known him for a few months. And he really helped me through that. He gave me the guidance I needed, told me the things I needed to hear, whether I wanted to hear it or not. So he was really, honestly, without that guidance again, I don't know if I would have like panned out the way I did. Because he was just very helpful in that. And, Coach Brown also did that at Wofford, Shadon Brown. During that same time, I was just, having trouble adapting, being happy, but he just kind of just kept it real with me. And he was like, because I wanted to come back home. And he was like, Danville's always going to be there. And it's not going to change a lot. It's going to be the Danville that you know. And so your main focus should be on, being present in where you are and getting the things that you need to get done so you can, make a positive impact on Danville in the future. And so those are words that, again, I didn't want to hear them, but I'll never forget them.
You mentioned earlier about the, love us on Saturdays and Sundays, but the rest of the week, you don't really care about us. Mm-hmm. Did you ever come across anything like that as an athlete?
No, but I know it was there, It was never overt in your face, really. Certain things on campus were, but not from, like, faculty or fans or anything like that. More so, like, student body.
Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so just say, like, Wofford, a lot of the events are held on campus. So, like, the frat row would open up on the weekends, and everybody wants to have fun, so it'd be, 5 or 6 teammates, big black dudes, walk up to the all-white fraternity, and they'll ask you, they'll just, like, do anything they can to, like, not let you in. Do you know any brothers here? Name 6. We're at capacity. We can't let anybody else in. Then you'll turn around and they'll let, 15 white girls in. Mm-hmm. Just right in your face. And, like, at the time, it bothered me because, like, I wanted everybody to like me. I feel like I wanted to fit in, be a part of something. But, like, as the years went on, I was like, I don't care. Like, y'all don't affect me like that. I mean, like, I'll mess with who I mess with. People like me. Like, I'll stick to my teammates if that's how it is. But, yeah, I mean, that was mainly the things on campus. And also, we're in these high-level biology classes. Like, you know who I am. We've been in classes for 3 years. And you might be lab partners, and then you walk past them on the sidewalk going to the cafeteria, and they just look straight ahead, don't even know you. So that always annoyed me, but, like, as the years went on, I expected it. And it didn't bother me as much. I was like, don't matter.
Now, as a black man, how do you feel about coming to expect those things and having to just brush them off?
Well, it shouldn't be that way, but I knew where I was. And I knew who my classmates were. I knew what culture they came from. So like it was expected. But I mean, again, it shouldn't be that way. And I don't want to sound like I'm bashing Wofford because I met so many great people there, so many smart people, just people that that I don't think I would meet anywhere else in the world, you know. Honestly, any girl that I've dated, I haven't had any familial issues like that. I remember early in high school, I wanted to date this one girl, and she asked her parents if we could, and they were like, absolutely not, and they grounded her. And these people were a family friend of my mom. And so that like blew my mind. I was like, what? You know, it really caught me off guard. But since then, I haven't, you know, had that issue because before I get too invested in somebody, I'm going to like understand what their family's like first, you know. Because of that, it really like kind of shaped me a little bit.
Yeah. Are you dating anybody now?
Yeah, I am.
So how's that going? How'd you guys meet?
It's going good. We met in graduate school.
Okay.
We were in a group project together and just became friends, and it took off from there.
Politics.
Yeah.
What would be a deal breaker when it comes to politics?
I try not to make a deal or no deal judgment on somebody based on how they vote. Because I really make an effort to do that because I know people that have been really influential in my life don't vote the same way I do. That doesn't mean that they're a bad person. That doesn't mean that we can't be cordial. We can't talk about everything else but politics, you know. But the way number 45 has kind of led this country, I feel like race is kind of grouped in the same category as politics, whereas it shouldn't be, you know, it's not political. But on that note, if they felt the same way he does about, you know, black people, for instance, or any person of color, then that's a deal breaker.
Are there any politicians that you look at favorably?
Barack Obama, for sure. Like we grew up, we had never heard of a black president, you know. And then all the people after us, these are little kids growing up seeing a black president. And I feel like that's just going to benefit them so much in their confidence, their what goals they set for themselves, and so forth. So he's always been somebody that I feel like is just a true leader, a simple leader, you know. He cares about people. He cares about all people. No matter what, he cares about all people. And I think that's very important as a leader of an entire country.
You're from Danville. You plan on moving back at all, ever? Or you
It's
probably
hard to say. I mean, there's no telling what'll happen in the future. In the near future, probably not, because, you know, I want to get my feet planted in Atlanta and get my career going.
Right.
But like I said, I'm always going to visit. Denver's always home, like regardless of where I go.
The way that everything's going on and the way that you view it, does that negatively affect your mental health at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really hard to see, especially recently, you know, like right when Corona broke out, it was like Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor, like those stories all broke out at once. And Corona's enough just to weigh on you mentally. And then to see all those things continuously happen. I mean, like I'll see it on my time hop. I'm tweeting about the same things 6 years ago. So it's just like discouraging. And, you know, one night I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know what to do about this. And it's like, it hurts because it weighs on you mentally. I don't know these people personally, but that could be anybody. That could be my cousin, my aunt, you know, it could be anybody. So it definitely weighs on me mentally. And it just seems like a lot of people don't care. They simply don't care. No matter who says what. Hopefully that'll change going forward. But right now, it seems like there's a side that cares, like with everything in them, and there's a side that is just like in denial. And that's bothersome.
I don't know. I've had people that I've really respected just throughout my life say all kinds of just outlandish things. And, you know, like I want to believe, or believe in them like I did when I was in middle school,
Right.
for example. But seeing that now, it's really hard to respect those people,
Yeah.
not because of the political views that, we're talking about, but how race and politics are kind of interwoven at
Right.
this point, even though they always have been.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's in your face like it was during the Nixon era.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough because you don't want to write people off, but just because, like I said, they vote differently. Like, that's not a deal breaker to me. I mean, I have friends that they vote differently than I do. But they're still going to be my lifelong friends. I have family that vote differently than I do. But like you kind of mentioned, when it goes into the race aspect, I just can't really associate with anybody. And have another point to make about this. I can't associate with anybody in my personal life that doesn't view Black people as like true human the same way everyone else is, And kind of going off of that, as a physical therapist, you're not in control of who comes in your office. Your duty is to treat everyone the exact same, give them the quality care they deserve, no matter if they come in with a Biden hat, a Trump hat, no matter what. You have to treat them with the respect that they deserve. And you just kind of have to keep your personal biases out of it as a healthcare professional.
Going back a little bit, I know that there was an incident where you and some friends were pulled over.
Right.
Can you kind of talk about your thoughts and feelings on that?
Yeah, I won't kind of lay it all out play by play because somebody's already done that. But that was just really the first time that I felt truly profiled by the police. And it was like discouraging that it happened in Danville, like the place I've lived and grown up my entire life. And, you're on the side of the road in the middle of downtown, everybody sees. And as a Black man, you have to try twice as hard, I feel like. That's a statement that's been going around, but I feel like it rings true because you have to try twice as hard to do the right thing, keep your name clear, things like that. And so then when you're on the side of the road downtown Danville and there's 5 cop cars around you and your 2 friends, you look like a criminal. Like it's just what it is. Like, what's going on? So that really like made me angry because I'm not a criminal. Like I've never been in my life. And so like at that point I felt like it didn't matter what grades I have made, what football accolades I have done. I had just graduated college. I was about to go on to grad school. None of that mattered. Like they just saw us and they were like, hey, today's your day, So that was really discouraging and it made me sick, honestly. I feel like it's really encouraging within the past few years seeing Black members of Danville join the police force because, right now in this certain climate, it seems to be police or anti-police. And nobody's leaving room for in the middle, and the Black individuals that have joined the police force, I feel like they're really, putting their lives on the line, literally, to make a change that they see needs to be made. My issue when it comes to police a lot of times is you don't hear the good cops, per se, condemning what the bad cops are doing. They just stay silent a lot of times. Not always, a lot of times. And the individuals that I'm talking about, they are always active in, promoting Black justice as well as, the need for community relations with the police. And I feel like that is just there's a gap within a lot of communities that's missing. And it's very inspiring to see them trying to fill that gap.
Now, something that we haven't discussed is your support system.
Mm-hmm.
Friends, family.
Yeah, I mean, all my friends' parents, honestly, because as children, we would always just pile up, 6 people deep in one room, because that's just how we were. We wanted to be together, and all of our parents supported that. And I feel like the people that I'm still friends with today are those same people that would be piled up in the rooms together, going to practice together, coming back home after practice, eating meals together. So like in general, all my parents, all my friends' parents really fostered a like lifelong friendship for us. And I feel like this is really crucial because not many people have friends that they've been friends with forever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I do. And then as far as coaches go, I've already mentioned a lot of them, but, you know, Coach Harp and Coach Perry, and they were really father figures for me in high school when I needed it. I would need guidance about college or anything. I could ask them, and they would give me the truth, you know? And then Coach Little, he was always inspiring to me because he was always so positive no matter what the situation was. He always had a smile on his face. He was always encouraging you. And again, he's an educated, successful black man. Same with Coach Dunn. You know, those are images that I feel like people from this community need to see. Because it's kind of a side note, but I feel like as kids, a lot of people want to be an NFL player, NBA player, a celebrity, a rapper or something, you know. And to see people in the educational system with doctorate degrees, you know, running schools, things like that, it's important because, you know, football, sports aren't your only option. Rap is not your only option. You can be anything. You can be an aerospace engineer, you know, whatever you want to be. And I feel like seeing those individuals like Coach Little, Coach Dunn, or Dr. Little now, it's just a really good image for somebody to grow up seeing.
Yeah, so what's your greatest hope for the future, whether it's for you and your family or Danville, wherever you're going to be living in the world? Just kind of take us through that.
As far as my family, I would like my kids to appreciate all people regardless of what their background is. Because I feel like that's something I really try to do. Even though I'm not familiar with a lot of backgrounds, I try to embrace it and treat everybody the same because that's what this world needs right now. And as far as like the world, obviously like the world peace type thing, you know, I'd like to see people just get along, love each other, treat each other as humans. There doesn't have to be this dichotomy of my way or your way. That probably won't happen in our lifetime, obviously, like to be realistic. But I would just love to see people just like be at peace with each other, embrace each other, support each other. Because I feel like America is just far from that right now. So that's what I would like to see.
Any recommended reading material?
Yeah. I actually read a book called Sapiens. I can't give you the name of the author, I forgot. But he really just walks through the entire history of humankind, basically. From, you know, evolution from primates, we're still primates, evolution from like great apes all the way to now. Everything encompassed versus like science, the different revolutions that have happened. And he kind of gives like insight on why we behave the way we do now. And that was really, it's like the favorite book I've ever read. And it's very in-depth and high level, I would say. So it takes a while to get through it. But it just really makes you think about things that you would never consider before. And it really like lays a lot of things out that are clear and like pretty easy to understand. So that's my book, I would say. When another one is Talking to Strangers. That one's by Malcolm Gladwell. And that one kind of really digs deep in how poorly we understand each other. And he explains why. He'll use like these very high profile cases and just kind of display how poorly people communicated with each other in these cases. And I think like as humans, we naturally think, well, I can look at you and tell what mood you're in, how you're going to approach me, and I've never met you in my life. When like he literally puts out these high profile cases when that type of thing happened, and it just ended terribly. And so I just think that's a really good book to kind of really understand how complex life is, and it encouraged me to really take a step back and evaluate my interaction with people.
Stare downs coming from across the street. African shirt, J's on my feet. We both gave a little sarcastic wave. Back of his mind is nigga behavior. We'll throw you down, make you bite the pavement. Cause of what I represent. They still see mixed race as a disgrace, but that's not the case. It's not the time or the place. Judge a man by his face. How about the content of his character?